All right, people, welcome to the stream. Obviously, this is Rauta. I am Jerry, your host, your ho. I'm not gonna know what I'm not supposed. Your favorite or unfavorite metalhead doing the stream for some reason. Maybe because of the gym, maybe because of being late. I don't know. A bit tired, but let's make it worthwhile and put this phone away and drink beers, answer your questions, and all that shit. Pardon being a couple of minutes late. I was aiming very much at 11 local time stream start, but I realized I didn't haven't done my Duolingo. So first things first, let's do these mandatory things like learning Espanol. So anyway, I hope you're having good time here, and of course, grab some drinks. Make sure you have some questions and comments, and that pretty much defines how long this stream will last. I have 3 beers ready, right there, out in the cold, so I am prepared. And as always with the streams, let's introduce the beers of the hour. That is, let's start what I'm drinking us with a lot of previous streams past almost 2 years or so. Mala Sebat is giving me these beers, so sponsoring. I didn't pay for these beers, and I'm starting with Mother of All Beers, or MOAB, New England Triple IPA, Mosaic Lupomax Simcoe Vic Secret. So interesting choice of hops, and as you can see, this is 10% strong. So we're not gonna start lightly, but let's get heavy. And there are no rules what you can ask, what you can comment. Just if you want to make sure your comment gets replied, answered, and so forth, make sure you tag Rauta, Rauta. So then your comment will be highlighted. That's pretty much what there is to do. As always, after this initial explaining of things, let's show what we have here in glass. So, some nice triple IPA. If you don't know what that means, you probably need to Google, but I can tell you this much: it means very, very hoppy beer, a strong one, and all that stuff. No, the plan is not to get me wasted on stream. Not that I would mind that. The plan is to answer your questions, comment whatever you have to say, and in case you want to support the channel, I always need to say this: you have basically 3 options to show your love and support and whatever. You can become a Patreon supporter. I will give you a link. Um, let's do it here. Okay, I typoed something. You can always choose to become a Patreon supporter with as little as $3 or euros, whatever, a month, which means you're just supporting the channel. You're not getting really much anything in return except more money means more interviews, more content, really. Or you can choose to, you know, uh, you can always, of course, consider donating something if that's what you feel like doing. I will bring you a link here just in case you want to do that. I probably hide it, hid it somewhere. You can always donate through PayPal. And of course, you're going to use Google Super Chat. But no means any kind of donation, no monetary support is mandatory. This is just if you want to, I don't know, keep the stuff going on because money makes the world spin. And in Rauta's case, it means more money, means more trips to foreign places, which I will announce you something. I actually have some good news to tell you. But what I'm trying to say is more trips means more interviews means more content to you outside the reviews and whatever. Anyway, first donation. Thank you, Zachary, very much for your donation. Thank you very much. Every penny, every dime, every whatever cent counts. So never consider it like, hey, I can only spare $0.50. I mean, it's more than nothing. Mind you, I'm getting a flu here, so there's that. No, cheers to you all. Shalanze, keep peace, kampai, and all that in many, many languages. And welcome to the stream. So, I will share you some good news. These are nothing mind blowing, but good news nonetheless. So I will start with that after I've greeted people coming to the stream. Hello, HB Dixon, Zachary, Guy Ignolito, John Jonsered. Hello, my Swedish friend. Nice to have you here as well. Northbound, some Finnish blood here. Gluggy sour beer. Sounds interesting. Hello, Markus. Nice to have you here as well. Terrorized from Australia. Awesome. Down Under is presented. So we have people of various parts of the world, various time zones. That's really, really great. Zachary already asking me if I have listened to the latest Testament album. No, I've been very busy with my current review albums, that is physical copies. I'm trying to make the queue down and make the pile smaller. And apart from that, I've been really doing a lot of Finnish black metal listening for my Finnish black metal history series. And of course, then some retrospective videos like Sinister is coming out next week, and Memoriam was just out last week. So I'm trying to balance things out, with these retrospective videos, making retrospectives out of bands that I have interviewed. Mind you, now we're in 2025, and I got this idea very, very late. So I'm still doing retrospective videos out of bands that I interviewed already 2017, so 8 years ago and more. So I'm trying to catch up with these retrospective of the bands that I have been interviewing, so I can actually tie these retrospective videos to the actual interviews and vice versa. For me, it's always fun to go back to these bands that I've interviewed so many years ago and kind of like bring back memories and all that stuff. And also works as a nice way to hint you, especially the newer audience that haven't been around since when Rauta started 2017. So these are like nice ideas to kind of throw back something, go for some discographies which I never completed before, and talk about these given bands because they made this interview. So it's also my way to give something back to these bands, so they get more visibility, they get more of the stuff. Like I recently did Enthroned, which I interviewed in 2017. Steelfest, sending with Sinister. Memoriam, I also interviewed late 2017, something like fall, whatever. So for me, it's also a reason to go back. Now I started today listening to some Skepticism, which I also interviewed in 2017. So it's once again one of those throwback thingies. After all, they have been pioneering funeral doom for decades now. So I think it's due time to raise awareness to these bands. More questions. Yeah, Yunzered Rocks has a good question about what do you think bands like Circle of Ouroboros and Strange shit like that. Now, I'm gonna put it out there and say I'm not too big a fan of any kind of a experimental or avant-garde-ish or artsy fartsy black metal thing. Now, as happens, the vocalist of Circle of Ouroboros is an old friend of mine, more like a colleague. We're not like close friends, but good terms and all. And while I can respect what he's doing, I know he's a smart guy and all. Musically, it's not really right up my alley. I'm very conservative when it comes to black metal, and I am not really a conservative person. But what I'm saying here, I'm the kind of a fan of black metal who started very early on with bands like Bathory and Immortal and Marduk and Darkthrone and stuff like that. So for me, black metal tends to be quite traditional. I want it to sound evil and sinister and dark, anti-religious and all. But when bands go kind of out of that territory, I feel like it's not the same anymore. Think it like this: you want to have a classic steak, maybe some sirloin or whatever, and you're looking forward to get steak. And then someone comes, okay, this is a vegan version of that. It doesn't look like the same. It doesn't taste like the same. It's not coming from the same source, but hey, it looks like something that kind of can remind you of a steak. And you're like, okay, But when it doesn't have too many of these things in common with the sirloin steak, what I'm supposed to think about it? Or maybe you could go, you know, start talking about, hey, this is not a like hot looking woman. It's not actually a woman at all. It's something totally different. You can totally be fine with it. You can tolerate, you can like it and all. But when you want to just bone some lady, I don't know if other genre is not gonna do it the same way. I mean, some people say whole is a whole, and some people can say, yeah, good music is good music despite the genre. Of course it is. But if you want to just listen to some evil sounding black metal and you get treated with some experimental avant-garde-ish take on the same genre, it's not really the same thing. So bear with me if I sound too conservative for your standards. Hey, shoot me. Anyway, so I'm not big fan of avant-garde black metal or experimental black metal or post black metal. There are lots of things what I don't just enjoy in my black metal, and it would be a long list to mention what I don't really like in my black metal, rather than list the things what I really want to hear in my black metal. All right. Terrorized mentioned that I am investing in a soundbar today. Are you a soundbar man or headphones? To be honest, neither. When I watch movies, when I try, like play video games, for instance, I prefer listening to, 5.1 kind of a sound system, my stereo right there. Or in my living room, I actually have just two Yamaha speakers. So I have had experience with soundbar, and I would definitely pick soundbar over headphones. But that's just me because I like the sound to spread around. I like that to feel the whole room, the space. Whereas headphones is just strictly limited to yours. And this is of course more important, especially if you're like enjoying movies or whatever, with some other people. Headphones are just one people, whereas soundbar is just, spreading the love, so to say. So I would definitely go soundbar over headphones. But if you're more like audiophile kind of person who wants to just stick it to your own, maybe headphones is how you would go. So, like I said, I have had a soundbar previously, but I upgraded to better sound system after that, and this was more than 10 years ago, or something like 10 years ago. Thank you so much, Jonzeret Rocks. Once again, you made a big donation. Thank you so much with this. Means a lot to me. And you're already, you're already a big supporter of the channel. So, of course, this is very, very heartwarming that you are supporting the thing here. And I will soon mention what I'm actually using this money, because I promised to tell you some good news. But first, I will go through these questions. Um, Trevi McTrev is asking, "Did you like Wednesday from Florida?" No, I haven't been checking out Wednesday. And when talking about this TV series, well, this is just our Halloween joke in a way. My daughter is a big fan of Wednesday. She has like two or three Wednesday shirts, at least one coffee mug. She doesn't drink coffee, but that's beside the point. So if you saw this thumbnail for this given video about the Halloween theme and Wednesday, well, that's about it. Texture metal analyst, greetings from Ecuador. Amazing the video saga finished black metal. Have you considered doing another saga from any other country? And if so, which one would you like? That's a good question, because to be honest, I started with the Norwegian black metal history. Then I did this Finnish one, which is more personal because I know a lot of Finnish people, obviously, in the scene. And the next one I was hoping to do would be a Greek metal scene. In a way, Swedish metal scene would be even more important with the Bathories, with the Dark Funerals and Marduk's and you name it. But I think a lot of people kind of know already a lot of that, much like with Norwegian scene. And Greek scene is often, like kind of overlooked because they don't have that many big bands. I mean, Rodenkreist is big, but they don't have their, Mayhems and Satyricons and Marduk's and stuff like that the same way. So I think Greeks kind of deserve more love, and it's worth mentioning that a lot of Greek bands actually existed before a lot of Swedish and Finnish and Norwegian bands did. So there are lots of bands which already started in the late 80s rather than early 90s, which was more the case with a lot of Swedish and Finnish and Norwegian bands. So in that sense, I think Greek black metal scene needs to be more spoken about. So maybe after the Finnish series is done, Greek will be the next, but time will tell if I change my mind. But that's the plan anyway. And Sweden would be probably the fourth one then. Northbound is mentioning a new Rambo movie is in the making by a Finnish director. I've got to say, I have missed the news. I'm very interested in that, even if the latest Rambo movie was disappointing. I do have a big respect for Sylvester Stallone, and I grew up with, the First Blood movie, which is the best in the franchise. I think it's a really great movie. But, with the later parts, especially after Rambo 2, the series went on a big decline. And it has been, you know, somewhat disappointing. The latest one was really just stupid. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about new Rambo movie. I kind of want to see it, but the last one was so bad that I don't know. But yeah, I'll probably watch it anyway. So yeah, will be interesting to see what it will be. Um, I will first go with the replies where you have tagged me. So if you're waiting for your turn, that's because some people tagged, unlike you. So take notes. The Unsettled Dogs is mentioning did get two records with the Finnish band Maras a while ago. Really like them. Have you heard them? Yes, I have. There's actually at least two bands with the name Maras. Maras Kuu means November, but if you just take the word Maras, meaning Kuu meaning moon or month, Maras basically means death. So it's a good name for a band. But there are two bands with that name, and the black metal band Maras is actually a good one, but it's also the newer one. I reviewed their debut album when it came out a few years ago, and it's a good one, but I haven't heard the other one, I think. My Rennie's in Eternally is asking, have you ever listened to neo folk, and if so, do you like it? I have. I have listened to a lot of the traditional folk music already in the 90s, neo folk later on, but it never made big impact on me. I have seen some neo folk gigs too over the years or decades. But you know, it's just kind of a too soft music, and often this kind of acoustic guitar and guy, and bonfire thing. While I can respect and enjoy it in a certain environment and all, it's not really my cup of tea, mostly anyway. um Eon's Red Rocks mentioned, yeah, maybe Polish scene would be good. Definitely, it would be a good theme for a history series. But as you people know, it takes months and months to go through all these bands, listening one by one, then making notes and searching for information and all. So it takes time, a lot of time to finish even one country. I mean, I did like three bands per episode in the Norwegian thing, much like in Finnish thing, and I had something like, I don't know, maybe 20 episodes. So if you get one episode out every month, it will take more than a year to finish the whole thing. And that what happened with me with Norwegian. I think it took something like 18 months roughly, to do it all. And the same thing is happening with the Finnish series too, even though we have less bands than the Norwegian black metal from the 90s. But yeah, will take time, but it's also a fun way to, explore the bands and learn some new things along the way too. Um, no more tact questions or mentions. I will go back to the earlier one. Kai Nito was asking, do I like hot food? And if so, what's your favorite food and hot sauce? I do like hot food, Thai food, Indian food, Mexican food or Tex-Mex, and Chinese food. Which one would be my favorite? I would probably go for some Mexican food, but I also am a big lover of Indian food. I don't know if I have a favorite hot sauce because there's so many different kind of hot sauce, even from Finland, which is not known for hot food, but we do have some hot food lovers. And we have this local brand called Poppamies, which I'm a kind of a fan of. They have a very mild one, a lot of different medium ones, and really, 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 really hot ones. The kind of a 10 out of 10 things. Like I have this Scorpion hot sauce, which I think is 10 plus out of 10. They have like three of these super hot ones, and it's all you need is one drop, and your mouth is kind of like burning. So it's hard to put a right amount of that and still enjoy your food. I sometimes also buy some, chili nuts or potato chips, and I'm not talking about a little bit of chili. I'm talking about the kind of stuff that you have to wait for your mouth to calm down after each uh, snack or whatever. So yeah, I really do like hot foods, but I don't want to eat them every day. It kind of gets boring if you do it all the time. But once in a while, good red curry, Thai food, or Indian food or whatever. Yeah, really, really delicious. Um, Marcus was mentioning not Jerry, but have two comments on hot sauce. Blair's after death. Yes, I had Blair before Papa Me started doing so. I had these stuff. So yeah, they're really, really nice stuff. Okay, those sound good. Salakuljettajan kanuna. Okay, sounds interesting. Well, Papa Miss is definitely worth checking out too. Um, Zachary is asking, do I like Killer Instinct and Dead or Alive games? I have never played Killer Instinct, but I remember me and my friend back in the days, I think it was around Xbox One, we had like a lot of Dead or Alive sessions. But, I'm not really that much into fighting games. They tend to be too repetitive for me, and they're not really story games in that sense. But can be fun, with a friend. And hello to Serbia and UK as well. Hello, Ali Dinet. Brazil here. Oh, yeah, it was mentioned in the Brazilian BMC thing. Yeah. All right. What else? Yeah, I know Tenhi. I remember Tenhi being, fair band. Totally. Jay Killers is asking, do I have guitar? I always have a couple of guitars behind, me. I don't know if they show couple of Jackson PS1s right there. I suck at guitar. I never exactly enjoyed very much playing guitar, but I'm the songwriter and vocalist in Annihilatus, so obviously I have to play something in order to make those songs. But I suck with guitar. I'm not really good one. So I'm definitely more vocalist guy, more vocalist and lyricist guy. Um, Yeah, I know Pyhä Kuolema. Actually, Friends band that one. I've seen them live at Mikko Aspa's birthday. In fact, TV Bleak is mentioning that UK death and black metal scene is interesting, but very sporadic in quality. I guess so. Obviously, these black metal history themes, which I've been doing. I mean, it doesn't have to be black metal thing. It could be as well as thrash metal thing or death metal thing and so forth. It was just easier for me to focus on that because a lot of Rauta's followers are black metal fans, and black metal fanatics tend to be more active than death metal ones. Um, and I think I know black metal better than death metal, but it really could be something else than just black metal thing. And of course, there are bands which are like Black Death, like bands like Archcode, for example, or Behemoth. So it's not so black and white that where you draw the line. I've included a lot of bands that are not pure blood black metal in my black metal history session. So there's that. Oh, nice. From the same era, Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride. Some good bands, really. Um, well, Marcus, I would say Popomis has that good taste, but just go for the little bit milder stuff and you will have it. Hello, SK. Welcome to the stream. Um, Yonsard is asking, "What's your favorite, most recent? What is your most recent favorite interviews?" Really enjoyed Hell Butcher and Old Funeral one. Stellar work. Thank you so much, Yonsard. Glad you like them. Well, my favorite would be, but this is more of a personal reason, the Paradise Lost one. I did also in Bergen, because Paradise Lost is actually one of my favorite bands, and it was nice to do a little bit different interviews because I mean that was very much like going through the whole history of the band, album by album, basically, and talk about how the band has changed, and in a way, kind of circle is complete, kind of a thing. Also, the Gehenna thing, because of those two guys are my friends, and I've been a fan of the band almost 30 years. That is also very, very, fantastic for me personally. But of course, the Old Funeral, Hella Butcher, I mean, they're all, good in my opinion, because I liked how the given artists talked and how they replied, how the feeling was in the room or whatever. But if I had to pick one favorite out of what happened this summer in terms of interviews, probably the Paradise Lost one. But then again, this Trivax one was maybe most important because in the Trivax interview, we were very much talking about Islam and background from Iran, banned from Iran, that is. So we really talked about politics, ideologies, religions, how metal can be still forbidden in certain countries and all. So the Trivax interview is probably the most important one I've ever done, but hard to select a favorite baby. I guess it's easier to pinpoint the ones that I didn't like that much. But I'm very happy with all the interviews we did at Beyond the Gates Bergen this August. Um, Alib is mentioning my country doesn't have the death metal or black metal scene. People only listen to deathcore in South Africa. No, that's gonna suck. Then again, it means that also when you listen to and find those underground bands, it's even more important when you do that. But yeah, I guess deathcore and all kinds of metalcore is trending quite a bit these days. That's in Finland as well. I mean, we've seen bands like Lorna Shore or Bring Me the Horizon headlining, and to be honest, not my thing at all. So there's that. Jay Killers is asking a good question also. Do I have any tips for song lyrics writing? Yes, I do, quite a bit. First of all, I think whatever you write about, you should be really motivated about the very topic. So it doesn't matter whether writing lyrics about love life or serial killers or burning down a church or drinking booze. Be invested in it, and by that I mean try to put your soul into that stuff. I could use a bunch of Nightside lyrics or Annihilators lyrics as an example. What I want to tell people. So I find lyrics personally very important. So whatever I'm trying to say, be it more romantic or very nihilistic or something else, it's important that you are doing them in a serious ways so that you can actually publish the lyrics and not hide it like so many other bands are doing. So whatever you're doing, don't worry so much about the grammar. I mean, grammar is important, but not nearly as important as the very message you're trying to convey. So for example, if you want to write anti-Christian lyrics, well, do it from the very bottom of your soul and just write it. Or if you want to make a song about, having sex and drinking beer, by all means. That's everlasting topic and goes through generation and generations. Nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think there is like a stupid theme not to be able to do. I mean, you could go a variation. Let me rephrase. You could go a variety of different ideas, which can sound very silly if you think about it. Like joking lyrics, humor lyrics tend to be bad by very default setting. But if you're a good writer, you can make even humorous lyrics work. It's just very hard because making comedy is hard. So I'm honestly thinking if you write lyrics, try to be kind of honest with yourself and write about the stuff you know. This is, I think, an age-old tip to all kind of writers. So if you if you don't know something, I think you probably shouldn't go too far into that direction. Um, and this is an anecdote which I really like. I don't know if this is truth or not, but it was said that Gordon from Bathory once upon a time said, when asked about the lyrics, that hey, I didn't know anything about fast cars and hot babes, and this was a reference to glam rock bands and hard rock bands in California. So he was like, I cannot write about fast cars and hot babes because we don't have them. I don't have the experience about it. But I can write about Satan and darkness and all that occult stuff because that's the thing I know. And that's how, according to Gorton's answer, Bathory became this satanic and occultic band. So I think there is some truth to that. Thank you again, Jonsered. You are being very, very kind with your donation. Thank you so much. More questions going to be answered. This is saying, sorry, Thosis is saying, keep on rocking, Rauta. Thank you. I will. And Dystopian Chand is mentioning, hello, do you always read the lyrics when you don't understand just by listening or when listening to a song in a foreign language? I'll be honest with you. Most of the time, I don't read lyrics, especially when I'm reviewing stuff. I really don't have all the time. And to be honest, most lyrics tend to suck. Or if they don't suck, they're not meaningful. I've read so many lyrics which are just honestly disappointing. And you're like, sometimes, what the fuck is this set of lyrics supposed to be? I mentioned this in my Sinister retrospective, which is coming in next week. There are lots of just bullshit lyrics out there, which I didn't find like they are worth my time. So there, it was kind of frustrating to read them. But there are some really great bands with great lyrics, which are totally very, very enjoyable to read. Of course, it's better if you can hear the lyrics, but it's harder when we're talking about death metal growls or black metal raspiness or shrieks, screams, and all that stuff. A lot of black metal vocalists, for instance, don't really emphasize on how words are being spelled out, how they're pronounced, and all that stuff. I actually got this, what I think is a compliment from another musician. This was more than a year ago, that he was commenting my vocal style, that it's really great that that's or something like that, that you actually make those words audible so you can actually listen to what's being said rather than having a booklet like rah, 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 and then you're like, what the fuck is this guy singing about? But I get it when you're trying to put more on the focus of just vocal style. It's like, I'm saying these things like that, and you're just going for some style rather than pronouncing, as opposed to say clean singing with heavy metal and doom metal and power metal and even thrash. I get it. Sometimes style goes before the message, and it's fine. I don't expect death metal vocalists to be pronouncing words clearly when they're growling. So there's a certain kind of compromise. You can't just sacrifice some pronunciation in favor of being powerful and whatever you're trying to do with the music. But I mean, I like when lyrics can be heard, so that's definitely a plus. About foreign languages, sometimes I read them and translate them, sometimes I don't. Rammstein is a good band, a good example of a band that has really, really great lyrics, and they are worth translating in order to understand what they're singing about. But there are lots of bands which probably not worth the hassle. Um, Inter Rox is mentioning, I tend to listen more DM during warm months and more BM during the cold months of the year. Have you similar feelings when it comes to music or seasons? No, I don't have the similar thing going on in myself, but I totally understand. I think black metal is very much like winter music, and if you want something very autumnal, I think very many gothic or dark metal kind of things are very fitting for that. Spring could be seen more like a heavy metal, power metal thing, more uplifting and all. And summer is just pure hard rock and all. Could go for death metal too. But for me, I don't like to tie bands to seasons. So for example, when I'm doing reviews, I just can't simply sit on a black metal release just because it's summertime. So I just go through different albums despite what's the season, what's the time of the clock. And doesn't matter if I'm at the gym or at home or driving, I can still listen to a variation of bands even if it's not that fitting. I'll give you a good example. Today I was listening to Skepticism debut album at the gym while working out. Now, Skepticism is a funeral doom band with a very slow pace, very dramatic music, not really fitting for pumping iron either because it's so slow tempo. So it's not like, okay, let's pump like one, two, three, four, more like one, two kind of a thing. So it's kind of a too slow for lifting in that sense. But I mean, I don't mind. I can go into different mindsets despite what's the music. But I get it. You're not the only one listening to certain kind of music, during a certain season and all. Yeah, TB Bleak. I agree. Paradise Lost is a great band and did some great stuff. Now, my only problem with Gothic is that horrible drumming. I really can't stand it these days. But it's a really, really defining pioneer album, especially with the Gothic feeling. What gave the name Gothic metal in the beginning with. Um, Kan du tala svenska? Lilla. Um, I am not really able to discuss in Swedish, but I can read some words. I can understand some words when people are speaking to me. So jag kan tala lilla svenska, but not really. So I'm not good in språk svenska. So yeah, I'm not good. I probably speak better Espanol than Swedish. I was kind of having too much this rebel attitude at school when we are supposed to learn Swedish language because in case people don't know, in Finland you're supposed to learn Swedish as the second language or third language depending on if your language choice is with German, English, whatever. But you also have to learn at least a little bit of Swedish, at least classes from 7 to 9 in elementary school. But I was having this attitude problem about Swedish. Sweet. That's generational thing. It doesn't matter if I explain it or not. So I was, not really paying attention to the whole Swedish thing, which I kind of regret later on. But it is what it is. It would be easier if I could, you know, um, speak more Swedish, or if I could read it more. But hey, never too late to learn a new language, right? Guy Ignondito was asking, what do you think of death metal or death doom metal bands that mix clean vocals in the music later in the career? Like Paradise Lost would be a good example. Loved it earlier, stopped after Icon. Well, to be honest, in my opinion, Icon was the starting point to a better Paradise Lost thing. I'm not too much fan of death metal bands or black metal bands, incorporating clean vocals in the stuff, but Paradise Lost case was not really that. I think they changed the style by Icon. I think Shades of God was the last Death Doom album they made, and with Icon they went more into kind of a this kind of a gothic heavy metal in a way. I mean, the vocals are kind of a thrashy, a little bit dirty, but definitely not growling or screaming. So I think with Icon started the second wave of Paradise Lost. And even though they later came back to this death metal and death doom style, back in the days, that change from Shades of God to Icon was big one. And another big change was what they started with, basically. No, well, this depends. 1 second or host. Host is basically Depeche Mode tribute thing, but it started already going lighter and softer with 1 second, which I couldn't stand in the 90s. But nowadays it's one of my favorite ones, because they always kept this dark and bleak atmosphere throughout their music, despite going much cleaner in the sound and more electronic in the music. So Paradise Lost would get a free pass from me in that sense, but mostly I'm not too much fan when bands start replacing growly vocals with clean ones. Then again, also My Dying Bride did fantastic job, bringing clean vocals into the My Dying Bride's music versus the growly ones. And I think a lot of people love that with Anathema and Catatonia and all. So it really depends. I could also talk about Therion. Therion's first album is death metal and not very good at it, but not bad either. But what really started rocking Therion socks off, or more like redefining the whole band, is when they started doing this opera metal. And then you definitely had some clean vocals and opera vocals in the music. And so it's a whole different genre basically by that point. Anyway, so like I said, I like all the eras of Paradise Lost. It's similar in liking Enslaved too, which definitely had clean vocals after the original black metal eras. And I get it why some people don't really care about those later eras, but they're important to me. Jay Killer's asking, what do think about slam? I do like slam brutal death metal style. Sometimes for me it's kind of a hard where you draw the line between just brutal death metal and slam, how much you need to have breakdowns or whatever to call it more slammy rather than brutal death metal. But yeah, I liked a lot of those albums or bands doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, Magic 69, that's a good worth mentioning that Lemmy wrote great lyrics on simple things like Chase is better than the catch. So you can really go for the very basic ideas and still have good lyrics. Um, Long time no see. Last time I see you was last winter during the snowstorm. Mentioning Agent Robocock. Yeah, things happen. Sometimes it takes more breaks. Um, that's a good comment. But what Agent Robocock mentioned about that slam is to DM what is beat down to hardcore, and slam, it's not a new thing at all. Yeah, I agree. It's not a new thing. It's an old thing, but it's definitely kind of a like the different direction where deathcore could have gone in a way, you know. So I mean, yeah, why not? But I get it. It's not for everybody. Hello, Masloth. Yeah, TV Blick, that's what I mean when I said the thrasher vocals in Icon. Like I said, they're totally like James Hetfield. That's what I meant. They are thrasher, so they kind of dirty, while not growly or shrieky. So there is this kind of a raspiness in a way, rather than going full growl or screamy. Yeah, no, I really once again understand and agree with Agent Robocock what he says about new slam and old school slam. So whether it's like groove riffs and or urban oriented DM versus modern slam, which is overproduced and deathcore-ish, I definitely say agree, and that's why I think why sometimes people say slam sucks is that they might be thinking more about these deathcore bands. When I'm thinking slam, I'm thinking more like brutal death metal, something like necrotic gore beast and the stuff. So kind of a very brutal death metal with these kind of a breakdown stuff and whatever. But that's just me. Lucas is asking, is sumo deadlift cheating? No, unless a given powerlifting organization, bans it, from their respective competitions or meets. I recently noticed that my friend from Torture Killer, the vocalist, Bessie, he recently fucking lifted 280 kilos, and we used to be together a few years ago at 265. Now he's 10 years younger than me, so obviously he's supposed to go ahead of me, but it was kind of like, damn, like when he lifted 265 sumo and I got the 265 on conventional, he said that I had beaten him because, according to him, conventional deadlift versus sumo, conventional wins. But I was like, hey, I don't care. Both are lifting the same weight, so it doesn't really matter. So I don't consider sumo deadlifting cheating, but it's up to a given organization whether or not they consider it okay or not. Treasurer is also asking, are you getting more open to new music with age or the other way around? I would say most people are the other way around. I think I'm actually listening to more different kinds of music these days than as a kid. I mean, favorite genres are still the same, but I think I have more open mind when it comes to exploring new genres or even old genres, which I felt like, oh, that's too lame or that's too pussified for my extreme metal kid. So I think I'm nowadays more open to just exploring any kind of a genre. But let's be honest about it. I mostly listen to my favorite genres because I mostly listen to review stuff or stuff that I want to talk about on Rauta. So I kind of stick to my favorite genres anyway. Thank you very much, sir, for your donation on Rauta. Thank you very much. Once again, uh, the money is used on Rauta's trips, meaning more interviews. Hey, now it's good time for me to talk about the news. I promised already in the beginning of the stream, so almost like 45 minutes ago. Um, Now that there are not that many active questions anymore. Hello, Brian Mons, by the way. I will get back to your questions. And once again, if you want to make sure that I answer your questions, just please tag me. Take a look at how Jonsen at Rocks tags me every time he asks me a question. But that's the good news. Now, as everybody who has been following Rauta for more than, say, a year or two knows, most of the interviews come out during summer times. It's usually because the first festivals happen in during the spring. Say usually Inferno is very much one of the starting points. So when Inferno takes place during Easter, that means the first interview wave starts in April and May. Then Steelfest happens in May, which means more interviews will come out in May or June, maybe July, depending how much we have backlog to do. And when finally more festivals take place in, say, July or August, like Beyond the Gates, Helsinki Metal Festival, whatever, in August, that means that Rauta's most active era or time of the year when it comes to interviews, putting them out, is roughly from April to September, meaning that the first, if we do, like, say, 6 to 8 interviews at Inferno, so that means 6 to 8 weeks. We have rolling out these interviews from April to May at least, maybe even to June, and from Steelfest we have these interviews at least from June to August, pretty much. And when these July August festivals come out, we have at least material for August and September, maybe even up to early October. As you might have seen, the latest interview came out like was it 2 weeks ago? So almost October. But now, when the festival season is done, it's over for this year pretty much. There are very sporadic interviews here and there because there are not too many gigs happening where we get these interviews. So After September, things slow down and it's very sporadic when it comes to October, November, December. Actually, as far as until February, those 5 months are very very slow in the in sense of getting interviews out. Now with February, it starts with Nordic Metal Cruise. We get first interviews out then in February. Then something from Turku Saatanale in March, and then we are already in April where Inferno starts. So you get the idea. Uh, but from October to February, it's just very very sporadic, and usually there are not much happening, which is kind of a shame that I cannot put these interviews out throughout the year, like one interview every week, if I could. If it would be easy to set all those interviews throughout the year and make you have interview out every week, say that these like 52 interviews a year, I would fucking do it. But it's not easy because we all have day jobs, and by we all I mean me and my cameraman. So it's not like we can just travel to different cities all the fucking time, do interviews and all that stuff. And even if we could, not every band would. So there's also that. But like I said, good news instead of whining and bitching is that by now we're like almost halfway through October, and I've already agreed to do Pro Fanatica interview in late October, and actually 2 weeks. They're coming to my home city, Turku, to play a gig. And Pro Fanatica's Paul Ledney actually remembered me from, I think it was 2022, when we had already planned to do interview at Steelfest when they were supposed to do. So we had Pro Fanatica interview agreed. So let's hope it actually happens. Then early November, I am traveling with Nightside to play a gig in Maarianhamina, the archipelago area. And Fintroll is the headliner act there. So I am doing also with Nightside gigs some Rauta work. So I have already agreed to do Fintroll and Cannibal Accident interviews. So something good coming on in November too. But on top of that, and this is the most important part, especially people are donating, and I'm very thankful that because of your donations, dear people, it's possible that I am now going to Greece in Athens in mid-November. I'm going there for 5 days, which means basically means 2 travel days and 3 full days in Athens. Now, why I'm going there is I was invited to go there to do some interviews, and I'm like, fuck, that sounds so brilliant, but I don't know if I can justify it if I don't even know if I have the money. I was taking a look at the Rauta's bank account and figured out, yeah, I can probably do it because it's not that expensive. It doesn't make sense to go after one or two interviews. But so far, I've been promised at least 4 different interviews. So things are looking brighter for October and November in Rauta. And that means if we start with the first interview like early November, I mean the Profanatica when it comes out of edit, and then more interviews happening in November, it seems like November through December is looking actually pretty nice. And like I said, thank you, dear people. It's because of your donations we have a little bit extra in Rauta's bank account so I can actually do this trip, because it always costs hundreds and hundreds of euros to do individual trips. And I can tell you this much: most interviews, even with the ad money we get from YouTube, they don't make their money back. So if a typical interview costs something like $100 or $200, euros to do, it's not gonna make the money back. But with over the years, with these given review videos and opinion videos, and of course stream donations and other stuff, eventually we have more savings so we can do another trip and do more interviews, and that's the that's the thing. So these donations really, really help to keep Rauta going. But I mean, stuff would be happening without the donation. This just means that there will be more content. So I'm just explaining so you know the transparency. Your money will be wasted on interviews, not just some bullshit. So thank you once again. This is the good news I wanted to share with you, because I think it's great that I get to do this uh, trip to Athens. And I think there will be some really cool interviews, but I won't reveal the bands just yet because there's always possibility one band says no and another one says yes and all that stuff. So there is that. Now, time to take some beer because my mouth is drying. So anyway, thank you, people. Um, Going back to the questions again. Jakub Frank was commenting, "Hello Jerry, I just wanted to ask if it could be possible to make an interview with Commander about Steelfest." That's definitely possibility. I did interview with Commander of Steelfest in 2016. This was before Rauta existed, so the pre-Rauta age, when I did the interviews in Finnish. So that doesn't help you that I did an interview with Commander back in the days, but I think it would be great to do a new one. So let's hope that will be done at some point. That's a good idea. Brian Mons was saying, I never knew what your take was on Black Sabbath. That's pretty interesting. I've discussed Black Sabbath in various places, but never on video. I guess I need to do Black Sabbath retrospective at some point. I was never a fan of Black Sabbath, but I do think they have some good songs and had great singers and all. So yeah, that's definitely worth talking about. Jonser Rocks mentioned, I'm having a King's Barnes whiskey. Nice. Skål. Yeah, skål. Yesterday, I actually had to open a new bottle. I people who were yesterday at my Rauta gaming stream, which I also want to talk to you about. At least Jay Killers and Marcus 616 were there. I got this bottle, this Jameson triple distilled. I don't know if you can see it, but this Jameson whiskey when I turned 50 in August. So this was a birthday present from my neighbors. And now that my previous whiskey bottle was already done and taken care of, I wanted to open that bottle. So I was sipping that whiskey during a gaming stream because gaming streams are so much better with some whiskey. Um, what else? Answer Rocks was mentioning any chance of Flaggate interview. Nice to know what support getting things done. Well, the thing with Flaggate is it's only two guys, and the other guy. I mean, I know both of these guys, but the other guy, he doesn't even go to shows. He doesn't go to festivals. It's been something like 15 years since the last time I see him. But then again, Black Venom, who also plays in Horna and other bands, he might be up for that, but I don't know what's the policy with the band, like if he's willing to do that or whatever. But I can ask. I can ask. That's always a good thing to concern. Matloth was saying, any thoughts about Last Suffering Hour? Can't say I have heard it, so no thoughts. Marcus was mentioning best festival you've been to. I'll assume Steelfest is number one, but not what's number two. Well, yeah, Steelfest is my favorite festival in general. I don't know if I can single out any given year because all years are great one way or another. And as such, it's hard to say, okay, year 22 was better than 23 or whatever. But in general, Steelfest is the best. And last year, I think, was the first time I did actually top five festivals for a given year. And I granted Beyond the Gates Festival as the second place because I really like the Bergen feeling. I like the bands, and I just like the Beyond the Gates feeling in general, and also good bands. But definitely that has this Bergen. Bergen feels more special than Oslo. So Inferno is good. Beyond the Gates is a little bit better, but Steelfest is my favorite. So I think that would be my top three. But there are things which I don't really like Inferno that much. I mean, it's purely indoors festival versus Steelfest being outdoors. So there's that. I also have some great memories of Bakken from 20 years ago when we were going there for like five times. But that's not recent history, so maybe that doesn't count. So I guess it's fair to say that at least nowadays, at the moment, what I'm thinking about, Steelfest is the best, Beyond the Gates the second best, and maybe Inferno as the third. But there are some other good festivals always. Like this year, I didn't go to Inferno at all, but we were at this Acherontic Arts, which was good festival too, just with very very different kind of lineup versus what you have at Steelfest, Beyond the Gates, Inferno, because it was so much focused on German bands, and all on Von Records or Territory Processions, which is a subsidiary to One Records. So yeah, that's an extended reply to your question. Um, Tatel is asking, very random, but are you a Rush fan? If so, our thoughts of the new reunion? Unfortunately, I never kind of got into Rush. I never gave them a good chance either. So that's something I need to fix at some point. But somehow Rush always went past me. Sorry. My rain is eternal. Asking favorite festival from your youth. This is tricky. I guess Tuska Festival, that was always so special when we were in our 20s. Because, no, I would say Nummirok. Nummirok is something that I haven't been past 15 years, but it used to be the highlight of the year, much like Steelfest later on, because Nummirok takes place during midsummer. And that's a very special for Finnish people. Finnish people tend to get drunk, get laid, have fun during midsummer. It's the so-called what all said Jonsered Rocks knows, I'm sure. It's one of those like nightless nights, meaning the sun doesn't go down at all, so it's pretty much light throughout the day or days, especially if you go up far to Lapland. But my point here is, midsummer is the kind of a warm season, and it's the longest day of the year. And when you have a festival like Nummirok around that uh, date, that means people are gonna enjoy barbecue, drinking beer, spending time with friends, and all that stuff. And when you combine that to having good bands, which Nummirok had, I mean, I remember seeing bands like Slayer and Pantera, Napalm Death, Imbel Nazarene, stuff like that, at Nummirok back in the days. So that was great. I even got laid at Nummirok once upon a time, at least. So that was definitely the best festival of my youth. Um, what else? Um, okay, that's pretty much the last tagged ones. So let's go back to earlier ones. Chigglers was asking, what do I think about strongman competitions? I think they're fairly entertaining. And Lucas was commenting ironically about the deadlifting. Yeah, I agree. Some people tend to bash it, but yeah, like you said, it's a different lift. Um, TV Bleak was mentioning you should do Zoom style interviews with bands. To be honest, I don't feel it's the same. I always keep this explanation in my mind when people are mentioning Zoom interviews. I mean, I did them when COVID hit. That was very, very bad time for people like me who go to festivals, who do face to face interviews and all, you know. But during COVID years, I'm saying years because technically speaking, 2020 as well as 2021 were both bad. So, you know, with 2020, the world was on lockdown basically. No festivals would happen, and you couldn't go anywhere. But obviously, I wanted to do interviews despite world being locked down, no festivals whatsoever. I mean, Rauta was already at that point 3 years old, so we had some momentum going on. Um, so I did some Zoom interviews with bands like Beherit, among the others. The most important Zoom interview I ever did, but also some other bands. But when lockdown was gone and it was possible to do face to face interviews, it kind of really, how to say, uh, made me more stern about that. Face to face is the shit. And now people are like, why not Zoom though? I'm saying consider like dating. Would you date people just online over Zoom or whatever, or meet them in real life? Or if you don't like dating comparison, think about gigs. Do you think seeing gigs on your screen, like via YouTube or whatever, is the same as going to a very physical place, a festival? Consider this: you're seeing a show. Oh, it's Slayer on my screen. Oh, here I'm having beer, so it's almost like I'm a festival. I can talk to my friends on Discord, like, hey, this song is so great. Yeah, cheers. Oh, actually, I cannot do cheers because, we're not in the same room. Um, so, yeah, it's not the same. Uh, Anything happening on Zoom or other platform, it's not really the same as face to face things. Consider this: how much more fun these kind of Rauta streams would be if we would be in the same room, sipping drinks. You could ask the questions from me, or I could ask you the questions. If you were like in a beer hall or whatever, or I don't know, in a fucking convention hall rather than here online. So, as much I know, it's not hard to set up those Zoom meetings. It's not the same, really. And Zachary would said that I would like to see you interview Varg Vikernes. Yeah, I would fucking love to do Varg Vikernes interviews, but it seems it's out of my hands. I've actually asked Mr. Vikernes on Twitter back in the day when it was still called Twitter, not X, if he would want to do interview with me, Rauta, but never got a reply. So not likely to happen. But if I could choose one interview to do with any band in the world, it would be Burzum and Vikernes. So yeah, hard or impossible to make unless at some point Vikernes is, hey, I actually like that guy and that channel. We're gonna do it. And here, TV Bleak, definitely the Greece in November sounds great. Actually, the organizer told me to bring my swimwear to Athens in case we want to do some, swimming. And I'm fucking, yeah, that sounds so perfect. I gotta tell you, the Greek people are the nicest on earth. I've met a lot of Greek people. I've interviewed quite a few Greek bands, including Varatron, Zemial, Kavir, and some others too. And I met a lot of Greek people. Oh yeah, Lucifer's Child. They're all the best. And this guy organizing the event is also Greek. I got to know him in Scotland in 2019. He was actually there to invite Rauta to a festival, and even said that, hey, you will have accommodation on me. You just get your plane tickets and you have all sorted out. And I remember that back in the days, mind you, 2019, Rauta had existed for something like 2.5 years, a lot smaller than these days. And I'm not saying Rauta is big now, but a lot smaller than these days. So I was like, okay, this sounds too good to be true. So it's most likely a scam or spam. I'm just gonna delete it. But then I was like, maybe I should actually ask, what's the story here? What is this, Darkness Guides Us festival that this guy is inviting us to? Like, why would he invite this person, me, to come to Scotland? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write this guy. Turns out he was a real deal, a really, really nice, friendly character who had a great festival. By the way, too bad the second part never came, but that's once again because of 2020 COVID lockdown. But the 2019 Glasgow event, Darkness Guides Us, that was some 3 great days. In Scotland, I made some friends there, some people, who I have met ever since in various festivals. I was really, really surprised that people actually fucking recognized me in Glasgow and came to greet me. And like I said, Rauta had been there only 2.5 years, so I think we were just nobodies, but seems not the case. Anyway, that made a big impression on me. I really liked the festival; was good. There were lots of good bands, and like I said, the accommodation was provided by the organizers. So basically, all we needed is to buy plane tickets and buy for our own food and drinks. which wasn't that bad. So I was like, wow, this is a real treatment. So now that the same guy is inviting me to Athens, I had to think about it because I was like, really, I have to check out if we're low on cash, like if I can do it. But I trust this guy. I could give him my home keys. So there's this kind of a respect and camaraderie. So going to Greece already for that guy is something that, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. And when he told me he's gonna help me out with these bands to interview, and like, fuck, you're just making my life so much more easier. So I don't want to say no when he's providing me the tickets to this event and helping me with the interviews and all. So basically all I have to do is to just take the flight to Athens and put the camera rolling. So I'm very stoked about it. And of course, Greece in November sounds so much better than staying in UK or Finland for that matter. All right, more comments. Antti Tanhua is mentioning there's Sugi's Extreme Fest in December and House of Winter in February in Tallinn if you want to visit Estonia. Well, yeah, House of Winter is always intriguing, but the thing is, it's overlapping pretty much always with the Nordic metal cruise. So obviously, not so easy for me to participate in House of Winter, even though Estonia or Tallinn is not that far away. So there's that. Yeah, TV Bleak. I will spend my own money on Mythos beer or whatever I'm drinking in Greece. I'm not using Rauta money to drink, obviously. Yeah, Milos, I kind of want to experience Partisan and Under the Black Sun, but still haven't. Like I said, uh, it's so much to do with the money, and Rauta is not really, swimming in money, swimming in cash. Totally, I don't know if this is any consolation, but I think cattle decapitation was quite crap in Oslo 2 years ago. Sorry, last year. So it wasn't that great in my opinion. I was expecting a lot more from them. But yeah, Cottage Midsummer doesn't sound too bad. I agree, Marcos, that a lot of Finnish festivals have changed so much. They're not the same anymore. Numerog is still pretty solid, so that's good option. But as a family person going out, during midsummer, it's not that easy. You would get a lot of you know bad eye for leaving your family during midsummer or Christmas for that matter. And thank you, Marcos. What Marcos said here, pretty much, I agree. I totally like Zoom style would be make Rauta the same as most other BM channels on the tube. Prefer Jerry get his hands dirty and gets it up close and personal. Yeah, I agree. The feeling is totally different when you're like in the same room with the artist. You kind of see the body language. There's no problem with the connection. If you don't understand something, it's very different to ask like person to person. You get the whole feeling, when the band is performing rather than staying at home. So totally different feeling over Zoom or in the same room. And while VV Bleak has a point about like up there bands not playing fests, I don't think that's really an issue to be honest, because there are so many bands that go to fests. So I'm not really running out of bands just because I ignore Zoom possibilities. And besides, there are also bands that play fests but don't do interviews, and that's the same thing could be also with Zoom ones. And of course, there are bands that don't know anything about setting up a camera and running Zoom or whatever. So unless you're a little bit tech savvy in setting up interviews and all with your software, it's not so given that the bands do it right. But yeah, Dark Throne interview would be great to do, and I could even travel to Norway to do it. So why not? Um, okay, going back to questions. Okay, I'm getting back to this backlog. Jonsen Rock was asking, did you see Kraft a while ago? Me too at Steelfest. When presented, it was Mannebond from Kolbrand, Djevel, and Urgehall. He's a good vocalist, by the way. On vocals, when live it was dude from Ultra Silvam, which was fine, but not the same. Well, I can say that at least Mannebond is a good one, but I haven't seen the Ultra Silvam guy doing craft gigs. I would give it a chance though, but yeah, craft was pretty solid when I saw it Steelfest. That was last year. Um, what else? Um, Terrorized was asking biggest Finnish release would have to be Amorphis. Well, actually, Nightwish is a lot bigger than Amorphis, I would say. Did you like the early music? Yeah, the early Amorphis. First album, Kirill Nistmush, solid death metal. Second album, Tales from the Thousand Lakes. It's decent. It's fairly good. I actually revisited and made a classic review out of it. Was it like 2 or 3 years ago? And it kind of reminded me why I sold the CD. There are lots of good ideas, and that was kind of a pioneer work, combining melodic death metal with some electronic ideas. But to be honest, there's some ideas which I don't really like in the Tales album. So I have sold my Amorphis albums away years and years ago. But the early Amorphis is fairly good. After Black Winter Day EP and all, it started changing too much, and I didn't really like the band anymore. Um, TV Blick was asking, have you ever been to Killtown Death Fest? I have heard about it, but never been there. Johnson Rock is asking, who is the most famous black metal person you met? I actually met Corton back in 2001. I'm holding it up high. Wow. Well, Corton is great. And unfortunately, never got to meet the guy. Who's the most famous black metal person I met? I'm guessing it has to be Satyricon Satyr or Attila from Mayhem, or let me think. Well, Morgan from Marduk, maybe. I would say those three are probably the most famous black metal people I've met and also interviewed. Um, but it's hard to measure. I mean, if you consider band size, I think Mayhem would be the biggest in terms of black metal bands. I've interviewed. I've interviewed Dark Funeral too, but the vocalist is not that. I mean, after all, he's the new vocalist. He is not that famous. Um, well, I have. Oh, sorry. Nergal, of course, is the most famous black metal person I've met. I got to interview Nergal. Was it like 2009, if I remember correctly? So this was years before Rauta. But yeah, Nergal is of course the most famous black metal person because Behemoth is so much bigger. And now that I think about it, well, I interviewed Dimmu Borgir a couple of years ago, or was it like last year at Inferno? So not exactly 2 years ago, but year and a half ago. So I guess Dimmu Borgir and Nergal would be the top two biggest ones I've ever met in terms of black metal, anyway. So yeah, I guess they are the biggest black metal names. Jigglers, Frostbite Turku Saatanalla. Turku Saatanalla is great. Frostbite, not so much. That's a silly question, really. Turku Saatanalla never had this problem like Frostbite had. And TV Blake, yeah, I'm glad I I got to explain to you that Zoom comment about interviews. Like I said, it's totally out of question, but like I said, it's much like dating. Would you date people on Zoom versus real life kind of a thing? Terrorized, thank you so much for your donation. You are very kind, sir. Thank you for helping the cause. Well, Marcos, yeah, him is of course big if we're talking about some Finnish metal, but since him is not really active, Nightwish is of course the jewel crown, the crown jewel, not jewel crown, the the crown jewel of Finnish metal these days. And J Killers is asking, you should make a Rauta Discord server. Well, Rauta Discord server has been there for years. So it's free to use, and the invite link to Discord is on every Rauta video, not the really old ones, obviously, but unless we're talking about some 2017, 2018 videos, on all Rauta videos, there is a Discord invite link, so it's free. Those who are Patreon, however, get a special Patreon status, and they will of course see the interviews before others. So there's that. Terrorize mentioned that I think you like the Bergs Vriden album. Okay, I haven't heard it. And yeah, Gentle Rocks, it's free. I always want to keep the Discord free, of course. Tatali was mentioning, have you heard Sarastus, Agony Eternal, and Bellet's Trumpet, Chapel of Bones albums? I haven't heard latest Sarastus albums. I have heard the other ones before that and reviewed them. And I actually reviewed Bellet's Trumpet album. Let me see when it was. Bellet's Chapel of Bones I reviewed in July. So I remember it was a while ago. Of Sarastus, I have only reviewed the I mixed it with something else. Only the split with Goats of Doom, and this was 5 years ago already. But I haven't heard the new Sarastus. So yeah, Oulu area is a good area, of course, and it's good that they are bringing more bands back into the fold. And of course, from Oulu area, we have also Korpituli Productions with his respective own bands. Jakub was mentioning that speaking about Marduk, interview with Mortus about Funeral Mist would be definitely a great one. Not sure if he does interviews though. Yes, I agree. And I have actually requested a couple of years ago the possibility to do Mortus interview with Marduk, but unfortunately it didn't happen back in the days. I don't know if that will be possible in the future, but the next time Marduk is around, I will be again asking for that, and if not, well, another one with Morgan would be also good. Yeah, J Killers, thanks for joining. I actually probably need to, open Discord on the side. Not that people usually make questions, when they are. Okay, I see here some Satanakia, which is probably say Killers. Just check out the rules and check those boxes you need to check when you join the server, and you're good to go. All righty. What else in the comment section? Johnson Rock was also commenting, have you ever been confused with Chris Pratt? No, that's a nice compliment. Nope. But I've been told that whatever is that Shield actor, Chiklis, whatever his name was, someone was mentioned that I look a little bit like that. Jakub was mentioning also which bands from the Steelfest 2026 lineup are you looking forward to when it comes to interviews? I'm of course aware that it's the up to the band in the interviews will happen, but that's a good one. Now let's open that Steelfest page. But before that, let's have a quick drink break. I actually have some bubbly water here with me. I was thinking about taking a piss, but I don't really feel like taking a piss. But I need to wash my glass because another beer is totally different style. Unfortunately, I'm not able to share you my screen. I'm still being lazy with the streaming stuff. I probably should, so I could, share you the Steelfest screen. But in case you're on a computer watching the stream, you can probably, open the Steelfest page for yourself, and we will talk about the lineup. But first, quick pause. I need to wash the glass and then get another beer. By the way, something silly came to my mind. You have never ever seen so cool socks before as these ones I'm now wearing. Oh shit, there's some dust and dirt and shit. But Alfred Hitchcock socks. And what these are, I'm gonna show you my socks. I got these as a souvenir. Check these motherfuckers out. Alfred Hitchcock having them birds. If you remember that old school horror movie with them birds, well, pretty cool socks, right? I have this weird thing that I'm getting souvenirs from the missus. She brings me some weird socks every now and then. I don't mind because I like when there are these unusual selection. So there's that. Don't know, by the way, where this weird white fur or whatever came. I think it's because I washed some weird sofa pillow blankets, not blankets, but pillow covers, and probably some leftovers on the floor. Okay, now we're moving into very different beer. I probably need to make note to my Malla Sebat friend about this beer. Hold on. So what I'm having here for another beer tonight, the second beer, continuing with the strong ones, 12% strong coconut imperial stout, style being imperial stout. This is something that I've done in previous streams. So it has coconut and chocolate malts. This is a very good, really strong beer too. And as you can see, it's basically black. So it's like liquid black metal. Mmm. Yummy. Strong. Ugh, tasty. So, get your questions answered before we move on. And talk about the Steel Fest. I'll quickly answer your questions. Herr Dirty is asking, what do I think about Ehre Sudantai split? I would call it bronze level release. Not that great. I've reviewed it. More information in my review video. And TV Bleak is, Jerry, what are you drinking? I was out earlier drinking a local beer called Cryo. What are you drinking? Looks similar. The first beer I had was this mother of all beers, New England Triple IPA, 10% strong. well, New England Triple IPA, unfiltered, and now this coconut imperial stout. Okay, what else? Yeah, Taatali Korpituli is definitely a nice guy and doing good stuff with his releases. And yes, Antti Tanho, I know this Marduk will be in Helsinki in February. It may have an emulation, but it's a weekday gig, so I will probably skip it because, well, Marduk is something that I see more or less every fucking year. And I've seen Marduk and Mayhem so many times, so it's not a must for me. I've also seen Immolation a couple of times. But yeah, would be nice to do this Marduk interview, but weekday gigs possible most likely means no interviews possible. Um, Jay Killers is asking, am I going to make a Heezy interview? Most likely not. Heezy is not an active band, so there are more stuff like that. Agent Rocks was commenting, his room lacked decoration on walls. My room? What room? Yeah, I don't really have room decorations. Alfred Heat Sock. That's a good one, TV Bleak. Snonjur is asking, if you had to go to a desert island, what would you take? Dumbbells and weights, a music player with music CDs, or a video game console with games? Hard choice. Probably music first, and I could do lifting in other ways or training. I would probably miss video games, but music is always the best. HB Dixon was commenting, wow, people will pay money for food shots. Sure. Agent Cockroach is too old for craft beer and ear beer and strong beer. Only water flavor American beers nowadays. Come on. You think you're too old. I'm 50 and I'm not too old. Yeah, 12%, but my strongest beer I ever had was something like 40%. Think about that. All right, Johnson Rocks, catch you later. Yeah, stout beers, strong stouts especially, are more wintry beers than summer beers. I totally agree. Coolhead is so great. Yeah, I can imagine Coolhead beers are, expensive here, even here in Finland. But it's my favorite brewery in Finland. Yep, DB Blink, thanks for being part of the streams. Okay, or stream. But anyway, Jakub was asking already about my plans about Steelfest interviews. Now let's take a look. The headlining lineup is Tormentor, Beherit, Revenge. Now Beherit I have done, and I have other possibilities to interview them than at Steelfest. So I would say yes, Tormentor interview would be great. Revenge, definitely. Will neither of the bands do interviews is obviously one question. If we move the second row with Steelfest interviews, I mean, well, lineup bands, there are bands like Oculus, done, Fortress, done, Inquisition, done, White Death, done, uh, Satanic Warmaster, done, War Moon Lord, done. However, I had a Warmaster talk that we should do part two eventually. We've already agreed, but when, I don't know. But then it gets more this and that. I was asking Concrete Wins already last December when they played in Marienhamina, and they kind of said, thank you for asking, but no. And that's partially because I think language barrier kind of a thing. Um, Morgal done twice. Mavorim would be cool if they're up for that. Torture Killer done also. Well, that was a short one, but still. Um, let me see, whatever the smaller ones. Surrender of Divinity would be nice to do because, after all, they're coming from all the way from Thailand. War Moon Lord, I mentioned it done, but sorry, no, I haven't done it, and they are not doing it. I know the guys; they're great guys, but they are not fans of doing interviews. So as far as I'm seeing it, there's some nice addition indeed. But when I'm thinking about it, the bands I know, Demonical, would it be kind of a great? They're good death metal act, and while they're not trending and like you know black metal ones, well, they're traditional act. But I guess Tormentor and Revenge are no brainers. In a way, Shape of Despair would probably deserve interview. They have been out for so long time, and they're kind of the unusual act with their funeral doom or death doom kind of a thing, as opposed to a lot of black metal bands playing at Steelfest. And what else? Well, I can guess in a way, Mavorim is more interesting than some other bands here. Mm, but I would say pretty much like one third of the bands are something that I've already done. Maybe Holocausto, because they're such a cult band. But yeah, can't give a more proper answer than that. This is a rough estimate what could be done if it's up to me. Tatal is asking, what do you think about sour beers? Well, that's my favorite beer type these days, has been for many years now. The more sour, the more likely it's something that I like. Especially if it's those really super sour raspberry ones. Yeah, I really, really like them. And totally added personally, I've tried a couple of different styles of sour and they just always taste like dishwater. Yeah, they're not for everybody, but I really, really fucking love them. Not all sour beers are super sour. There are some light ones which are not that great, but yeah, not for everybody. It's a very acquired taste. Magic 69 was asking, did I just miss here 40% beer? Which beer was that? That was one of the Brewdog beer. I think it was Sink the Bismarck beer, but might have been. Yeah, it was probably Sink the Bismarck because it's 41%. That's actually 41%. So there you go. So they put it in like shot glasses or similar because they are not full bottles. 40% beers in a whole bottle doesn't make sense. So they sell it like vodka or whatever. Yeah, Jacob, sorry, I mentioned that War Moon Lord interview didn't happen because they're not willing to do interviews. I just um, miscommunicated. Agent Robocop was mentioning interview more pagan black metal bands such as Kroda, Nocturnal Mortum, Maras, Kampfar. Well, unfortunately, for example, those bands haven't been playing. Nocturnal Mortum hasn't played in Finland. Maras haven't seen them. Kampfar initially said no, then said yes, but the last time I saw them playing live, there was no possibility for interviews. And Kroda hasn't been in Finland, I don't know how many years ago. So while it would be nice to interview these bands, it's not so easy. Um, Totally was asking, can I give some good ones because I feel like I should like them. Well, totally, I think if you want to taste one of my favorite sour beers, um, It's this cool head. I'm gonna link it. Salty licorice. This is something that you can actually buy from normal stores. Like order it to your local K-kauppa, for instance. That salty licorice raspberry, really good sour. So it's like salmiak and raspberry, really really nice. Um, yeah, I totally agree. Satanic War Master Part 2 would be cool. We actually did the second Satanic War Master interview a few years ago, but the Mr. Satanic War Master was so drunk at that interview that he didn't want it to put it out. So it never went out. But we talked about it a few times already that we should do the second one. It's just that Mr. Satanic War Master can be so drunk at festivals, so it's not easy. Holocaust might be interesting the same way as I did with Sex Trash and Sarcophago last Steelfest, but there might be some language barrier. Like both with Sex Trash and Sarcophago, I needed a someone to translate the questions to the band and back. So it kind of needs this translator, which is not always so easy. John Urja was asking, do I get nervous in the interviews? Only once. And this was early on Rauta's career in 2018 when I met my idol Mike Moore from Suicidal Tendencies. That's the only time I get nervous feelings. Maybe because he was kind of like my teenager years idol, and I've always respected his attitude, his lyrical output, and of course his music in general. So that's the only time I get a little bit nervous doing an interview. So maybe a mix of being a fanboy and nervous, but that's the only one. Even when I've met some other bands, I'm really like a big fan. My inner fanboy doesn't get out. Maybe because I'm so cool myself, haha, or maybe because I'm old and I don't really give a fuck. Yeah, Killers, you should totally share a picture of your sleepy cat in the Rauta Discord side. Did Croda play at Steelfest 24? I think it was earlier. If they played at Steelfest 24, I just missed it. Hello, Brian. Yeah, Marasmieli might have been split up. And I agree, Milos, that for IPA, 10% is enough. And I think even 10% could be like a little bit of overkill. Yeah, totally. I hope you like it. That's one of the reasons why I'm such a Cool Head fan. There was another good, really good brewery in Finland called Maistila from Oulu, actually. They had some really great sour beers like Raparperi, what the fuck it is in English, and I think some apple ones too. Some really really great sour beers. I've explored a lot of weird sour beers, like even I think some sour beer was made out of carrots. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. Thank you, Terrorized, once again. Thank you so much for your donation. This is really, really heartwarming. Thank you, people. Really nice of you. So, cheers to Down Under. Well, if Crota played in 2024, I just don't remember why it wasn't re-interviewed. Maybe there was some other bands, or sometimes it's not all bands I ask for are not willing to do interviews. So my memory doesn't always serve me well. Um, Agent Robocog is asking, do you have any Finnish pagan black metal or folky black metal recommendations? Since I'm not really that much into folky stuff. I really need to think about it. Um, well, Mr. Korpituli's own band might be worth checking out. Norhem might count as pagan black metal. Norhem is one of the better ones these days, but folky black metal ones. Fintroll, Moonsorrow, uh, they would definitely count as pagan black metal, and Fintroll would definitely count as folky. Yes, totally. Excellent that you ordered the beer to the local store. I've done the same myself, actually. Zachary never played Kane and Lynch. I read about it and seemed interesting, but I never got to play it. Naglfar Vitra just discovered a new Finnish black metal band, Victimarum. You know, the funny thing is, I probably still have the sticker here. Yes, I do. This is in a trash can, but I'm gonna dig some trash just because you mentioned Victimarum. They play at the same rehearsal room as us, and this is the sticker last Sunday. That was on the Victimarum CD I got. I'm gonna translate it to you. This Jerulle means to Jerry. Of course, heart means with love. Hope, best regards, or just regards, Victimarum. So yeah, I recently got the Victimarum CD for review. I mean, I got it last Sunday. I already did the review video, which is going to be out in 2 weeks, 24th of October. So Victimarum just recently released their debut album. Their demo was already good, and this new album is also good. So, yes, I have heard it last Sunday, and the review is coming out. Withered Land, that one I don't know. J Killer's general chat is always a good place to share things on Rauta Discord if you don't know whatever is more fitting. Jakub, yeah, I know Segner Roland interview. Too bad it didn't happen, but I understand it's not an active band, so there's that. Nerd Time is asking thoughts on RABM, which is Red Anarchist Black Metal. To be honest, I don't think I ever got a single RABM album for review, and I've been reviewing thousands and thousands of albums since 2002. So I don't know. I missed those RABM albums. Maybe they are too anarchistic to send a review copy. I would definitely, like to review bands from that scene, but for some reason they are never signed to any of the bigger or even medium-sized labels. They are always some very underground DIY kind of things. So I have pretty much missed all the RABM bands. I mean, I know some by name, but I don't know if I have actually heard any of their music ever. Yep, Brian, don't worry about it. If you're broke, don't worry about it. Donating money is never mandatory to Rauta. It was just support if you can, and if you don't, it's totally fine. Nobody gives a shit. Jakub, that video was more about just NSBM, not so much RABM. Yeah, Nagelvar's Vitra album was actually a good one. I remember Nagelfar from the very debut album back in the days, but I think Vitra album was better than the debut. Okay, Agent Robocop, I get it. Federal is too much folk metal, I get it. Moonsor is definitely pagan BM, but you mean more like Norheim, not folk, stuff like that. Yeah. Well, those are the bands that can come to my mind first. They're probably a lot more when I have more time to think about it, but Yeah, the first ones. I think I've heard some Lamb of Murmur, but didn't make much of an impact to me. Also, I didn't know if Lamb of Murmur would be RABM. Ally was asking any plans to interview bands that don't do live shows. Well, I mean, why not if you can organize it? But it's not that easy to, meet bands when they don't play live because organizing trips to these bands will it cost money and to travel, just for one band to another place, it's not very cost efficient. So, I'd rather put my money on trips. That means there is more stuff to do. But I mean, I could interview bands. Like, actually, I have, interviewed Evangelist, the American band that moved to Finland a few years ago. And as far as I know, they are not a live band. So, at least in that sense, I have done at least one non live playing black metal interview. No, Ally, as explained Earl already earlier in the Zoom on this stream, I'm not into Zoom interviews. Like I said, Zoom interviews are like online dating versus seeing the bands, seeing the person you want to date in real life, or seeing bands play gigs, on stream rather than seeing on the live situation. So no, I'm not really into Zoom interviews. You don't have the same connection, the chemistry, and all. So yeah, that's not really not my kind of a thing. I mean, some people are totally fine with online dating. You don't really need to be in the same room with the same person, but it's like the chemistry is very very different. So yeah, I know it makes sense when you put it like that. So I mean, when you go in the same room with a given artist, you see the body language, you have the smell, you have the sound, you have the looks. It's all in the same package. When it comes to doing like this, it's not the same. And like I earlier said, imagine how much more fun Rauta stream would be if we would be in the same room, talking to one another or drinks, even in a same kind of a convention hall. I had a mic and you could answer questions to me live. It would feel more special than these streams. So it's very very different doing it online or person to person. Jakub, yeah, it's good that you are gonna see some Finnish black metal bands live this year, like Moonzor, Archgoat, Hornas, Yellow Vihollinen. Everything else you mentioned, except Yellow Vihollinen, are also very active in terms of playing gigs outside. And Ymir is a good Finnish black metal band, not very active though, but yeah, Ymir is definitely worth checking out. Thought I agree with you, Taateli. Being anti-fascist or being being a communist isn't exactly as uh, RABM. Well, you could say communist band kind of fits the red word in RABM. Valerian, I have actually interviewed Q already in 2017. Morbid Mania was asking, will Nightside ever play America? Yes, if the Trump government is changed. Nowadays, getting a work visa to play in the USA is just too expensive and too hard, so it doesn't make sense. I would love to play in America with Nightside, but in the foreseeable near future, I think under Trump government, it's not gonna happen. Brian was asking what's going on with Behexen these days. As far as I know, they are making a new album, and yes, they are doing shows every now and then. Actually, I think Behexen is playing concert this month in their home city, Tampere. Hello, Angst Squadron. Thank you for your comment about liking the content, and my regards to Germany as well. People, I will still encourage you. Please tag my name. I'll give you an example if you want to make sure that I answer your question, because there's sometimes too many comments. I might miss some of them. So please tag me like this, and I will get the highlight from the comments box. So I will prefer to answer these highlighted questions first. Um Jigglers was asking if you could make Zoom interview with Varg, would you do it? I would do an exception with Varg, yes, and probably with Dark Throne too. Agent Robocop was asking for the record, Jerry. I mark divine line between pagan metal and pagan black metal. Seems like splitting hair, but the difference is there. Yes, Agent Robocop, I get it. And some. Okay, the stream is back. So to answer your questions, whatever I was answering. Yeah, so Agent Robocop was asking about like where do you draw the line between pagan metal and pagan black metal, like Moon Sorrow. I don't know where you would draw the line. Are they more pagan black metal thing or just pagan metal thing? Sometimes it's just you know a line drawn in water, basically. So getting back to the questions without the tags. Would you say Hest has panic attacks? Well, as far as I've met Hest a few times, I wouldn't say he has, but I don't know. And Tatali was asking, doesn't Ymir have Corvus on vocals? To be honest, I don't think so, but I might be wrong. And yeah, Varg might be too elitist to give interviews. That's very true. Morbid Maniac, yeah, I would definitely love to see that the possibility to do live in the USA. But the thing is, these work permits is just so fucking. I mean, they suck so much that it's not really easy to play in the United States. I have heard some Amurta back in the days, but I'm not sure if I heard that EP. Yeah, Brian, I totally get you about the Behex, and a lot of people like the most because it was so traditional and solid, solid second wave black metal. There was some internet connection warning on my screen about this connection not being too solid. I think there's a Behexen is not touring too much, so I think they're very selective with their gigs. Can't say I have heard Moose Gut. Magic. The beer tasted kind of like beer, but more like just strong booze. Not very good, but not bad either. But I would say it's more like for these kind of a experience things. You want to taste it so that you know what's it going to taste like. But I mean, in terms of how good the beer are, there are just so many better beers than that kind of stuff. No need to try it out. It's also pretty fucking expensive if available at anymore. Yeah, Marcos, I think Vikernes might be totally distracted from the BM scene. So I don't know if it makes sense for him anymore to talk about the new days. Yeah, Cowdies, I noticed the stream froze for a bit, and what can you do about it? I got the warning that it's, it's like internet connection is unstable. Jakub, I think Kaivum play at least some shows in Norway. I think I saw some kind of a poster about it on Rauta Discord or whatever. But I don't know if they play outside Norway. No idea. All right, guys, we've been into the stream for 2 hours, and the pace of questions is slowing down. So, can we call it a night? Can I move to play Assassin's Creed Shadows and continue the streams on there? Oh yeah, Sortwalker is a good one. SK, thank you so much. You guys are definitely keeping me on the stream. Thank you, Naglfar, Vitra. Uh, we don't have to call it a night. I mean, you can still ask me questions. It's just like the pace is slowing down. So thank you for being with me here. I guess this booze is getting into my head, and I'm like, getting slow here. So thank you, SK, and thank you, Naglfar, for donations. Um, Rauta was asking favorite uh, porn stars. I don't know if I have favorites, but as an old blonde fan, I mean, let's not forget that I fell in love with Christina Applegate from The Love and what do you call it? Marriage with Kids series with Al Bundy and all. Christine Applegate, the young daughter. Wow. Uh, that made me a blonde fan. So obviously she is not a porn star, but I think my love for blondes. Also, I was like having a strong crush on a girl who was like the not in our class, but the next one, and maybe because of my love for blondes, really made me, really like Jenna Jameson back in the days. Jenna had this super gorgeous face and great body. So Jenna Jameson was probably my first favorite, you know, porn star woman. And of later stuff, I would say Sasha Grey. Sasha Grey is smart, super pretty, great body, and she's just obscene. She can do a lot of dirty stuff, a lot of stuff that many other guys wouldn't really guys gals wouldn't really do. And then there's this third gal I'm thinking of who's really pretty, lots of tattoos, weird haircut, but fuck, I can't remember the name. But at least Jenna Jameson and Sasha Grey would be among my favorite XXX stars. Since you asked, what else? Um, Valerian the Justin is asking, it's Saturday night. Why don't you go and party instead? Because I promised to do Rauta stream. So there it is. Some promises needs to be kept, you know. So I mean, I could go out. I could go in the bars, drink some beers, and all that stuff. But I've tried to do these monthly streams once in every month. So that's why I'm doing it here. Besides, I was already out last Saturday. Didn't even come home for the night. So sometimes it's better to stay at home. But like I said, I do these monthly streams because this is my way to connect to you audience. So I could ask you the same. Why are you here on the stream and rather not going out and party? So Noor was asking, you like albums with intros? Sometimes a lot. There are some great albums like, say, The Celtic Winter by Graveland that has really haunting, really great intro. Some Bathory albums have fucking great intros. But then again, there are also a lot of albums which have bad intros. In which case, I feel like I want to skip the intro. So it really depends on album to album. Some albums just have great intros, some don't. That's the pretty. That's the story. So yeah, there are lots of album intros which are unnecessary. Totally was asking, what's the album you'd say recently made an actual impact on you? Now, this year has been quite lame, in my opinion, when it comes to hearing new music. So, can't say that this year has made a big impact on me. I haven't heard a single 5 out of 5 album this year. So, I feel like if I'm thinking about some latest album that really made a big impact, I would probably go for year 2024. And I think the latest LOL album, which was my album of the year, would be one of those albums that really made me go, wow. Um, but, I don't know why it has been so, but this year has been kind of a basic, kind of a tame when it comes to albums making a big impact. I hope it's not me getting grumpy. I hope it's just more like boring year. Um, Gaudis, you met Pamela Anderson during an animal rights convention. That rules. She was super hot. Totally 10 out of 10 in my books when I was a kid. But I wouldn't consider her, you know, adult industry entertainment actress. Yeah, agent, but I'm into thin women. I like women with small breasts or medium size. I'm not into curvy, plus size kind of a thing. So I'm not into thick women. I like women slim and thin if I get to choose. Marcus 616, thank you. That glad you like these monthly streams. Yeah. SK is asking, are the drunk driving laws strict there? Yes, they are pretty strict. Um, Guy Incognito, what do you think about what kind of a infighting within Venom? You mean some late ones or some early ones? John Ure doesn't go to parties because he is a black metal misanthropic person. That's a very good excuse to avoid parties. I mean, I'm a misanthropic person, but I also like to spend time with friends, so I'm very selective. Some people are basically the reason to live, and a lot of people are just fucking annoying. So I'm a very selective misanthrope, always been like that. Naglfar Vitra is asking what's the best Graveland album. I still think the Celtic Winter is the best Graveland album, but I haven't heard all the newer ones, the more pagan ones versus the raw black metal ones. So Celtic Winter, Thousand Swords, I would start with those. Maybe even the demo stuff in the glare of burning churches. Valen Justin is asking, do I like Aki Kaurismäki movies? I haven't really been watching that many Aki Kaurismäki movies, so I could say I love them. I rather instead say I love Aku Louhimies movies. That's my favorite Finnish director. Taateli, I would say there's the album name, The Celtic Winter or Celtic Winter. People are actually um, people can say Celtic or Celtic. Both are correct. I've double checked this many times because I've been wondering about the Celtic Frost or Celtic Frost, or when it comes to Boston basketball team, is it Celtics or Celtics? So there is that. Azak thought is giving 5 out of 5 rating would be the first nightside first LP. Thank you so much. Um, Well, I wouldn't call Nightside first LP 5 out of 5. I would say it's more like 8 out of 10, but I'm biased. Oh God, it's 2014. Wow, that's gonna be beautiful. I would love to meet Pamela Anderson. Agent Robocog is asking what favorite black metal subgenres. Uh, I guess old school at this point. I'm thinking early Bathory, early Dark Throne, that kind of stuff. Roar, evil, the better. Favorite topics in black metal? Well, anti-religions, I would say, and don't need to be sorry for being broke as fuck. I'm broke as fuck too. That's why I'm staying home. No, seriously speaking, I mean, like I said, people have priorities in life, so don't be sorry about not donating. There are more important things you need to put your money on rather than supporting a channel. Annette de Haven, that one I don't know. Yeah, I'm not surprised that a lot of people sneak into United States as tourists because the work visas are so expensive. The downside is if you get caught, you probably get fined, or I don't know if you even get banned from entering USA again. So, but I'm not really surprised that bands like Graveland don't have the work visa because it's expensive. Probably can't afford it. Nagelvar, my pleasure. All right, thank you, Tatali. Good night. Have a good sleep. Um, yes, I will type the name. Hold on. Just Google Aku Louhimies. His movies are bleak and depressive and very gritty. They are not movies for happy moments. They are quite depressive stuff. He also did the newest version of Tuntematon Sotilas, a classic movie from the black and white movie era back in the days. This is the third time it's made into a movie and actually miniseries. I would rather recommend people to check out that miniseries version of Second World War or whatever. From Finnish perspective, it's a bleak one to say for sure. Jakub is asking, by the way, is Warcraft the same case as War Moon Lord when it comes to interviews? In a way, it is. Both guys are very introverted and they're not, really into doing interviews anymore, at least. They're kind of a shy, nerdy guys. I mean, they're both good guys, don't get me wrong. I love both of the guys. They're good people. They're friends, and I support fully what they do. But despite our friendship, they're not the kind of a guys who are ready to do interviews for whatever reasons. Personal. Oh, sorry, yawning here, getting a little bit tired. It's after all 1:20. Asakdodi has asked me, have I heard the new Offermod LP? No, but I was told that it should be shipped to me for interview. So let's hope I see it. I'm sorry to hear that, SK, you are broke, but never skip a stream just because you're broke. I'm not expecting people to know it. It's like I said, it's totally voluntary. Oh, nice, Milos. Nice to hear that you like Finnish movies. Finnish movies definitely, at least sometimes, have a very, very strong Finnish thing going on. I'm not saying it's always like that, but you know, certain Finnish mindset is definitely sometimes very, very well portrayed in some Finnish movies, and it can be kind of a bleak and kind of a depressive, and just like fuck, it's like that dark, kind of a thing. As I thought, good news is that we have our next show in a month's time. We're gonna play in Hamina, Finland, in November 8th, warming up for Fintroll. We're gonna play one unreleased song and then combination of newer and older songs from our two albums. Then we have a couple of shows agreed for early 2026 in southern Finland, including Nordic Metal Cruise, which is a great cruise always. I've actually already agreed to do an interview with Impel Nazarene on that very same cruise. And currently, Nightside is rehearsing some new tracks for our third album. Jakub, unfortunately, I don't have any Kristallnacht releases not on physical copies. No. SK, now you're asking too hard a question. If there's a Finnish film like that, um, I don't know if there's a Finnish movie about sleepwalking and killing people. But then again, maybe I'm just, I don't know. As I thought, we will definitely play out of Finland. We're definitely up for international gigs if someone wants to book us. So far, we have played only once outside Finland, and this was in Estonia 2 years ago. I mean, I can pretty much talk on behalf of the whole band and say that if someone wants to book Nightside to play outside Finland, we're definitely up for that. Um, we're not, how to say, limited to certain kind of events or certain countries because we're not a political band and anything like that. So, I mean, if someone wants to book us and get us on the road, let's fucking do it. Oh, Jakub, thank you so much. It would be our pleasure to come to Czech Republic. I've been to Czech Republic a couple of times, and what can I say? I had a really good time and nice people in Czech Republic would be very, very nice. Valerian the Justin is asking, are Finnish girls easy? I guess it depends. Um, Uh, I think Finnish mentality when it comes to dating or having sex is not as free as what I've got the impression is in the United States. But I mean, after a few drinks, if person likes that, hey, you're hot or I like to fuck, let's do it. So I wouldn't call them super easy nor super hard, I guess. But hard for me to compare because I can't really compare to most countries. Margus' answer is right to the point. Quite good. Asakdot, no need to apologize for a million questions. Just ask as many as you want to. Um, for me, it's hard to say on behalf of the whole band how extensive touring we would do because people have day jobs, people have families, so I don't know. It depends on the dates. It depends how long the tour is. So if we, I mean, nobody's asking for to play something like 30 gigs in a row, but I don't think that would be possible to even do it. But yeah, we are very much into doing more gigs now that we are more experienced in live, and we have kind of a found our balance between making new music, new songs, and also doing live. um I kind of want to do more, but I also want to make new albums, so there needs to be some kind of a balance between playing live and rehearsing new songs because you can't have both. But I would say we're pretty open-minded when it comes to gig offers. Agent Robocop, I must say, while I'm definitely into listening to new music, I get so many requests about digital promos all the time, but I am just declining basically all the offers. Um, Physical copies, I always agree to review. But when it comes to digital promos, I pretty much have to say I don't have the time because when I'm not at home, so when I'm driving my cars to some place, when I'm at the gym, listening to some digital stuff, I listen to Spotify, and that's when I do the stuff for Rauta, like this Finnish black metal series or these retrospective videos. And at home, I'll pretty much listen to review CDs and review vinyl almost exclusively. So digital promos and all that stuff, nope. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time. Thank you, Milos. It would be our pleasure if we could play in Serbia. Yeah. As I thought, unfortunately, I don't have any information about Warlock's current state of life things. Milos, it would be interesting to do that kind of an interview if possible, but unless we meet, hard to say for sure. Valerian, I don't think Azazel will play at next year's Steelfest. I've heard some discussion about it, but I don't think so. I've heard only a little bit of Bill Skirnir, so I don't have like. I mean, I haven't heard most of it, so I can't really say about it. Um, Agent Robocock, I'm very much into video games and movies soundtracks. I've presented quite a few of those in my record collection videos, which is now in letter J, just came out. So whenever I have a soundtrack CD, be it video game or movie or TV series, I have already mentioned it in my record collection videos. Like in letter G, I had some Game of Thrones. Letter I had Inception, and so on. So yeah, I really do like uh, video game and TV series and movie soundtracks. Well, Azak, like I said, it would be our pleasure to play in the United States. But I especially like New York City. I would fucking love to play in New York City. But the thing here is, under Trump government, the work permits, visas, stuff like that, it's so expensive and hard to get. So I don't see it very likely that band such as small as Nightside, which is not a professional band, could play in USA or New York City. Thank you, Marshall Lord. Thank you for your comment. Glad you like the content. I actually have Witcher One game, but I don't know where my code is or whatever. I think I just skip to Witcher Three when I have the time. Yeah, as I thought, it sucks that these days the work permits are so expensive. They used to be a lot cheaper. So when it's a small band, the work permits alone cost more than whatever pay you would get to play a couple of shows in the United States. So when you count in the very thing like flight tickets, accommodation, everything else, it makes no sense to go to United States at the very moment. Yeah, I'm sorry, Azak, though it doesn't seem very likely we could do it. I mean, um, it would require multiple gigs to be kind of a sold out. It would kind of require some kind of a tour to bring Nightside or any other band of this size to United States. Like I said, uh, I have been to United States 3 times. I always had good time. I met interesting and nice people there. but playing there is one thing than getting as a tourist. And now in 2025, it's very different than my last time, 2013. Nagelfar, my rating for Red Dead Redemption 2 would be 10 out of 10. It's in my all-time top three games. I really fucking love that game for the action, for the story, for the graphics, for the game mechanics, for music. It's really, really great game. Thank you, Agent Robocop, for being part of stream. Thank you. Nice. I hope you had a good time. Yeah, as I got, I think Nightside, Barlock, and Behexen kind of a combination. Good sell, yeah, but everything needs to be promoted a lot of times. Valerian was asking what are my favorite Turkish bands. Well, while I have heard a few Turkish bands over the years, I can't say I really have a favorite one. None of the Turkish bands have really been that good, but I remember having some decent ones over the years, but sorry, no real favorites. Yeah, Nagelfar, don't feel stupid about it. The problem with movies, TV series, and video games, and even bands in this day is that we have the so huge amount of all these products and releases these days that everybody's gonna always miss out on something. Whether we're talking about TV series, somebody's always, have you seen this? When then you talk movies, have you seen that? And no matter which way you go, someone is always pointing out that you're missing out on something. So, I mean, that's a product of our era. I like at the moment, and I like to play a lot, and I like watch series. I always have this huge list. I need to see these series and these amount movies and play these games. It's just impossible, because everybody has a day job. You need to sleep. You need to have your, I don't know, family and spouse and shit like that. So it's not easy. Like, imagine me. I have a day job. I have a family. I try to date some girls. I try to play in my band. I try to do workout. I try to play video games. Now try to fit that in 24 hours. It's not just happening really. As I thought Enoch and Crescent split up many years ago, I pretty much explained the story in a quick format in my Finnish Black Metal series video series. But Enoch and Crescent, they just basically split up, and the guys went in a different direction. Like the vocalist continued with True Black Dawn, um, the guitar player continued with Crescent. The other guys, I don't know where they went. Marshall Law is asking, what do I think has been the best black metal of 2025? Now, this year has been quite disappointing for me. Um, so I really haven't heard that many good albums this year. So too early to, you know, um, say names for best black metal of 2025. I hope there will be some really great ones so far, but this year has been a disappointment. Oh yeah, Kaudas, I have heard about Hard West games, but yeah, I'm more like open world action games like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, things like that. Really, and yeah, Witcher 4 will be there and remake of first Witcher, and I think I'm up for both of them. Valerie and my profession, my day job is PR guy. Yes, as like the Janne Guru. Yeah, he's an old friend of mine, and I don't think he has other bands at the moment except True Black Dawn. Jakub Bieniek Butcher is pretty decent. I had a couple of their CDs back in the days. They're kind of a goofy. Their music videos are like, what the fuck are these guys doing? But their music is pretty good. Just not great, to be honest. Oh yeah, it's sad that the frontman passed. That band had at least something going on back in the days. Like I said, decent band. Naglfar, I don't remember because that game came out something like, was it like 7 years ago, something like that. Um, but dozens and dozens of hours, less than 100 hours, I'm sure. But I'm guessing something like 50 to 70 hours, maybe. At least a lot. I don't try for full completion. I don't have the time for that or nerves for that matter. But I like to lose side quests and I like to explore. I like to go with the story and all that stuff. Oh, Margo 61X, that sounds good. Um, Asakta, we have actually discussed with Miko Asp a couple of times about clandestine blaze interview. Well, the story is like this. First, he said yes. Then he said maybe not. Then he also suggested maybe he would come to my city during a summertime and do the interview. Then he decided not to do it. And then I talked to him about it at Steelfest last year. And he was like, maybe it could happen. So I don't know. He has been back and forth about clandestine blaze interview. So I don't know. Yeah, he did one with Harold Mendor. I think it was this year. Those two are old friends, so it's different. And I think Mikko Aspa, I mean, he said something like me after Inquisition interview, like I didn't ask certain questions which should have been asked or whatever. And I think he's a little bit uncertain about doing the interview in English, but it's easier to just drink beer with Harald. Okay, once again, the stream stopped working. So as I was saying, uh, that it's different to do with Sami as he's its old friend and drinking beer rather than just more official interview on Rauta. So it's likely it will one day happen, but it's not happening at the moment. So I don't know. He has changed his mind about it, so who knows? Will it happen or not? Valerian, I've always been an iPhone guy, but I mean Android phones are good too. As like that Miko said about Inquisition interview that I should have asked certain questions, but I don't think he specified which ones. So I don't know. He was maybe hoping for something that wasn't there with the Inquisition interview, but I don't really know why. So anyway, the point with clandestine blaze interview is might happen or might not. I really don't know. It's not up to me really. Marco 616. Well, to be honest, I remember when Lollipop Chainsaw, for example, came out. It didn't feel like that's my cup of tea. While I know, Suda for being the main guy for these games, I don't really follow that scene or his style so much. So I don't know if those games would be up for me. But just remember Lollipop Chainsaw was too kind of an anime game in a way. Yeah, it's like that. I noticed the stream froze. Jakub, I don't know if Sami of Thai Serpent would be up for interview. I know I've known him for a lot of years, and I don't think he's a nice guy. But I don't know. He might just feel it hard to do this interview, in English and all. Hello, Martin. Yeah, work tends to suck every now and then, but I don't complain. Yeah, Saktot, no, I have asked Olli Matti about Warlock interview, but no, he's not the kind of guy. We're good friends though, been since the 90s, so there's nothing like that why it wouldn't happen. But no, he's not the kind of guy who would like to do video interview. He was actually present when I was talking to Mikko Aspa of Clandestine Place the last year at Steelfest. And he was laughing like, hey, this got to be the longest conversation he has ever heard. Somebody trying to convince someone about interview or whatever. We were sitting around, you know, Olimatti's girlfriend back then, Mikko Aspa, me. Maybe there was a fifth guy. We were just talking about the interview possibility and Rauta and stuff. But yeah, you never know. Yeah, Azazel's Manta, cool. I actually just recently uh, reviewed this new Azazel album. So my review's coming out on early November. I recently got this album from Azazel drummer Idimu or Imu, and he asked me to put the review out around early November when the vinyl version should be out also. No, Marcus, I haven't read it. Yeah, Urgehal interview has been in the works for at least 3 years now. I spoke to the guy who does vocals for Urgehal nowadays, but we didn't agree anything for sure. But we already talked about it in 2022 that Urgehal interview should be done. There is this thing that because it was mostly Tronder Nefas band and he's dead for many years now. So I don't think if the other guys would be willing to do Urgehal interview now because he's dead. So I don't know. Magic, yeah, 69. There's always a little bit of alcohol involved when we're talking about Steelfest. So I don't know. Uh, Hard to say for sure. But like I said, I haven't given up hope on clandestine blaze interviews happening someday. I'm just not putting my money on it, so to speak. So if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't happen, well, fuck me. I mean, there are always people who don't like my style, and those who don't like my style, obviously they're not gonna do interview. And then there are people who might like my style and say, "Okay, Jerry, you do good work," and blah blah blah. But I'm not the guy who wants to do in video interviews. So these are the two typical stops that might just say like nope, you know. But it is what it is. Deeper. This is also something what I also already explained. Beheksen has uh, pretty much said that they are not willing to do video interview. I don't know if Beheksen do video. I mean, do interviews at all. So it's not just about certain comfortable place. It's just like they don't do interviews at all. So I don't know how much money or power from Satan you have to channel to them in order to change their minds. And also, what people keep forgetting, if it was about a specific setting, like you said, somewhere at night by campfire in the woods, I mean, who's gonna fund that shit? Is money coming going to fly from windows and doors? Like, okay, since you're doing this interview, hey, here's the money. They go hundreds of euros to set it up. You have to understand that traveling costs, special settings cost. So it's always so much easier to do interviews at festivals when the bands are already there and they are killing time versus doing something very special like driving to someone's home and doing an interview. So it's totally two different things when it comes to you know putting effort and money. Jakub, I totally understand, and I also agree. I think while Tronder was the main guy in terms of songwriting and all, I still think that those other guys who have been in the band for a long time, they just, in my opinion anyway, could do the interview as well. But not everybody wants to do interviews. That's the basic thing. Yeah, Lasak, the thing that we did with Hust in the woods is because he was actually driving the car in Bergen. Like we did that second Hust interview in three different spots. So that was a very special case. Like the first part of the interview we did at the Fantoft Church, the one that the Vikernes burned down back in the days. And then we drove to the monastery ruins, the very same place where we did old funeral interview this year. And after that, we drove to Hust's home. He parked his car. We picked up some booze and whatnot from his home. We climbed up to the hill or mountain and did the third part of the interview right up on that very same mountain. So if he hadn't been driving around, the interview within the woods would have not happened. So when things like this happen, like with the old funeral one too, it was because of the given artist himself was willing to take his car and to drive to some other place, paying for the gas and shit. So you have to understand that it is in these cases, it is because the artist wanted to put some extra effort into doing an interview. But most of the time, when you're say at a festival, the band wants to do it in such a way that it's easy for a band to just be on the very place, talk to the camera, and then fuck off. No extra effort needed. Most of the people are not ready to put that extra effort into doing such interviews. About Tetra, I have, some Indian bands. I have, done like, I don't know. This is not exactly tetragrammaticide, but like, uh, I have reviewed Kapala, for instance. That's from India. So, like I said, I review stuff that is being sent to me. So, if a label or band or whoever wants to send me tetragrammaticide for review, sure, I'll do it. But I'm not going to buy albums so I get to review them, or I would be bankrupt in a split second. Um, I think I was already booked for Steelfest by the time Infernal War was, mentioned. So maybe in the future. I think Mare is one of those bands that doesn't do video interviews, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't remember if we had talks about this given band. Well, other than Justice, I haven't. Justine, sorry, I haven't been counting, but less than 1,000 records. I've been trying to sell more records lately than buy them because I try to keep my record collection so-called low fat percentage, so kind of lean. But I'm still going through it. I'm in the letter L now, and I will be presenting all my albums in this record collection series, letter by letter. So this week it was about letter J. Next week it will be letter K, and then I will be filming letter L soon. I think I will know the final amount of my albums by the time I've done the series, but at the moment I don't even know. Uh, Asakto is asking, can you chuck beer? You mean like chug, the whole beer at once? I guess I can normal beer, but I don't usually drink normal beer. So I just like those craft beers. So I more like sipping them, slowly. But sorry, guys, it's almost 3 hours in the stream. It's really, really making me tired. So I think I'm gonna call it a day. Need to pack some CDs later on. And I think I will spend my last hours staying awake. I think I'm gonna continue Assassin's Creed Shadows for a little bit. Those who still want to do more streamings and obviously can join that particular stream. But meanwhile, I'm gonna start PlayStation. And that means I'm gonna go on and play a little bit or pass out on the recliner while doing it. So 3 hours went fast with you people asking interesting questions and all that stuff. So thank you people for making this interesting for me as well. And of course, thank you to all people who donated money to Rauta thing. Like I promised, there are more interviews coming already this fall. October maybe not, but November and December seems good. Seems good in terms of interviews coming out. I will announce those interviews as soon as I have them locked down. So, in case you want to hear the news first, uh, be sure to subscribe to Rauta's Patreon site. I will once again link it here. So you don't have to be paying customer, to become a free subscriber, but be sure to be on Rauta's Patreon site to get those news whenever I can announce the new interviews being done, or join Rauta's Discord for news. The new interviews and all will be mentioned there when things are happening. And if I can, I will be doing some live clips from those events where I'm gonna attend in October and November. So maybe consider, if you use Facebook or Instagram, putting Rauta's Facebook or Instagram on follow. So maybe you will see some short clips or photos from wherever I'm going. And that's pretty much all of it for now. Um, Let me see. Um, one more thing that needs to be mentioned. The next monthly stream should take place on 1st of November, so only 3 weeks later. However, if things go as planned, we will have a special Turku Saatanalle announcement stream on November 8th. So 4 weeks from now. And if that plan holds water, we will announce first Turku Saatanalle 2026 bands in that very stream with a familiar face to known to you who has been here before, Jussi Helenius. So make no mistake, there will be these special streams and other content. And as also promised, I will do these weekly gaming streams where you can join for me asking questions, commenting things, be it metal, be it gaming, whatever. So don't be shy, even if you're not a gamer yourself, you can always just join the stream for some chat and questions and shit. And I don't know, get informed about things to come. But this is pretty much of it. More news coming in a few weeks with the next stream. I will know more about recent events in already back then. So good night and stay metal.